Moving further, there is one question which we have to answer, which is in relates to what leads to the success of the business. Does it all comes from within the company? What do you think? I'm repeating the question. What leads to the success of a business? Does it all comes from within the business, that is the company? Well, I must say, I asked this question basically to understand, being as a business consultant, what do you feel? Well, you might have answered it. Anyways, as a consultant, I will have understood what exactly the success is and how it will be related to the business. And for the second part of the question, does it comes from within the company? I would have said, no, it doesn't comes within the same organization. Because the thing is that a business environment and how the company reacts to the external factors are key to their success. So, not only the internal factors but also the external factors have to be considered. An external environment is the outside factors influences that impact the operations of a business. The business must act or react to keep it flow of the operations. A macro environment consists of the general factors that a business is typically has no control over. The success of the company depends on the ability to adapt. Each type of the environment has factors or influences to take into the account. So moving further, first is the demographic, second is the economic, third is the political and legal factors, followed with the social and cultural, technological, natural, environmental, and the competition. So these are the factors which as a consultant you have to understand them. Like what are the economical factors, political factors, legal factors, social and cultural factors, technological factors, natural environment factors, competition factors. Of input and the customer. It is in the Porter's 5 forces we have studied this. The impact of the external environment on the performance. The performance measurement and the performance management usually focus on how an individual organization is performing. So if you are performing well, it will be helpful for the organization to grow and the performance will be measured accurately. Proper information has to be made available, so it will be reliable, relevant, timely available, useful information for identifying the performances, setting the goals, measuring the performances, and having an effective management. Analysis of the performance needs to consider the environment in which a firm operates, because this can affect its performance. So we have to analyze the performance which is required for understanding the environment in the environment in which the firms operate, because it can affect the performance. Well, the industry environment, suggesting the level of the competition in an industry that affects its ability to sustain profit. The performance of the firm operating in that industry could be affect the strength of the different competitive forces. The significance of the Porter's model for assessing the organization's own performance is that it reminds the organization performance needs to be assessed in the context of its industry. So, this industry environment suggests the level of the competition in an industry, which affects the ability for sustaining the profit. It also looks after the performance of the organizations which are operating in that industry, and that could affect the strength of the different competitive forces. What are the competitive forces? We have already studied in the Porter's 5 forces. So those are the competitive forces. The significance of the Porter's model can be useful for assessing the organization's own performances, as it is reminds that organization performance need for the assessment in context of the industry. Your organization's success not only depends on your internal factors but also depends on your external factors. The external factors includes your microeconomic factors, external and your macroeconomic. So those are very important, and the organization has to be tuned with the changing environment for a proper effectiveness, efficiency, proper control, and for market share, so on, many benefits. For example, if a government is about to deregulate an industry, it is likely that there will be a number of new entrants into the industry. So you have to understand what are your entrants, who are your competitors, how they are competing with you, what effect will be of the competition on your growth, diversification, restructuring. This could lead to the pre-existing organization in the industry reducing their prices to deal with the threat from the new entrants, which could in turn lower to the lower margins and the profitability. As you know, new entrants, if they enter, they will start building their customer base, and this will affect the organization's lower margins and the profitability. Simply looking at the firm's results, lower margins and the profitability might suggest that there are problems with the firm's operational processes which have led to the decline in the performances. So understanding why we are not able to have fetched the proper profits in the market, why are our performances being declining, and this can be understood through the industry environment analysis. However, considering that the external environment can help and explain the reason for the lower margins and the profitability, especially if other pre-existing organizations in the industry have the experience similar reduction in margins and the profitability. Well, the microenvironment is the wider business environment. It has a significant impact on the organization's performance. The business environment can be analyzed using the pestle analysis, or in some cases PEST. It is therefore important in the marketing before any kind of the strategy or the tactical plans can be implemented. It is fundamental to conduct the situational analysis and the pestle forms that should be repeated at regular stages to identify the changes in the macro environment. Organizations that successfully monitor and respond to the changes in the macro environment are able to different from the competition and create a competitive advantage. Well, the political environment. This is your P first of the pestle, that is your political environment. This determines the extent by which the government and the government policy may impact on the organization or specific industry. This could be political policy, stability, as well as the trade, fiscal, taxation policies, so on. It also includes your legislation, law, rules, regulations, your policies, your executives and the judiciary of the political environment in which that organization is being. So suppose if there is a good political support from the government creating an impact on the organization, because if there is a political stability and there are chances that the political advancement is going to be there, then the other external parties who are supported at the different areas of the nationwide, they will be looking for dealing with the business with the organization because of the political stability, and this is your political environment. But a vice versa can affect the adverse relationship. So Having understanding about the consumer spending affected by the government spending and the taxation decisions. Government tax policies understanding is very important to know what are the tax policies and how it will be impacting on the organization. A proper study and a regulation understanding with the proper support of your legal team who can understand the law, rules, regulations, your legislations and their effect and the growth on the profit of the industry. Moving with the second environment, which is your economic factors. The economic factors includes your economic growth, the price and the level, the inflation, the recession, the trade cycle and the income and the employees. Economic factors are the factors that impact on the economy and its performance, which in turn directly impacts on the organization and its profitability. Factors include the interest rate, employment or unemployment rate, raw material cost and the foreign exchange rate. So this is your economic factor, the E of the pestle. Moving further to the social factors. It includes your culture, your taste, your life cycle, so on. These factors focus on the social environment and identify the emerging trends. This helps the marketer to further understand the customers' needs, their wants, their factors including the changes and the family demographics, your educational level, cultural trends, attitude changes and the changes in the lifestyle of the society. Moving further to the technological factor, these are the factors that consider the rate of the technological innovation and development. This could be the market or industry. The factors could include the change in the digital or the mobile technology, automation, research and development. There is often the tendency to focus on the development only in the digital technology, but consideration must be also be given to the new methods of distribution, manufacturing and the logistics. The changing role of the management. Moving further to the environmental factors. The environmental factors are the environment basically. It includes the factors related to the influences of the surrounding environment and the impact of the ecological aspect. With the rise in the importance of the corporate social responsibility, this element is becoming more important. Factors include the climate, recycling procedures, carbon footprints, waste disposal, and the sustainability. Legal factors. The legal factors is basically the law, rules, regulations of the economy. An organization must understand what are the legal and is allowed with the territories that they operate. They also must be aware of the changes in the laws, rules, regulations, legislations and the impact that may have on the business operation. Factors include the employment legislation, consumer law, health and safety procedures, healthy and safety, international and regulation and a restriction. Political factors do cross with the legal factors. However, the key difference is that the political factors are led by the government policy, whereas the legal factor must be complied with it. So understanding the pestle analysis helps an organization to identify the external factors that could impact on the market and analyzes how they can be directly impacting on the business. It is important when understanding such an analysis of the factors affecting the organization are just identified but are also assessed. So for example, what might have impact on the organization, what will be the outcomes of the pestle analysis can be used, the population of the opportunities and the threats in the SWOT analysis. So this was all about your understanding your microenvironment. As we cover microenvironment of the external environment, R is your pestle, P political, environmental, social, technological, ecological and your legal factors. And we also understood your micro-environmental factors along with the industry environment and the impact of the external environment on the performances. So these are some of the micro-environmental like your public, your competitors, your market intermediaries, supplier of the input, and the customers. So this ends your understanding of the macro environment for the organization's effectiveness, efficiency. So if they are strong enough, this internal micro as well as the external macro and micro, all the environment, that is your internal as well as the external environment, it will be helpful for the organization. And if not, then as a professional business consultant, you have to identify the impact of this on the business clients. And this is a continuous procedure and not a one-off procedure. So it will be helpful for the business organizations through your services of the consulting.